It was one of those evenings when the world feels too heavy to carry. The streets were quiet, the air bitter cold, and the sky painted with a fading orange as the sun disappeared behind the rooftops. Emma clutched her coat tighter around her shoulders. Her breath came out in soft clouds of steam, and the rhythm of her heels clicking on the pavement echoed in the emptiness. She hadn't told anyone she was coming home tonight. Not her husband, not his family, not even her daughter. "Let me surprise them," she had whispered to herself while boarding the train that afternoon. Maybe that's what we all need. A surprise, a reset. But deep inside, her heart was restless. Something in her gut told her that she was walking into more than just a surprise. When Emma pushed open the front gate of the large house, she expected to hear laughter. She expected the smell of dinner drifting through the windows, the warmth of home wrapping itself around her. Instead, silence. A silence so sharp it cut through her chest. The porch light flickered, casting strange shadows across the steps. The curtains inside were drawn tight as though hiding a secret. For a moment, Emma thought she had the wrong house. But no, this was home. The home she had worked for, fought for, built piece by piece. Her heart began to pound. Emma wasn't just any woman. She was a fighter. She had married Daniel 5 years ago against the will of his family. She was not their ideal daughter-in-law. She was too independent, too bold, too unwilling to bow her head every time someone older spoke. But Daniel had promised her protection. He had promised love. "You'll never feel alone as long as I'm here," he had whispered on their wedding night, brushing a tear from her cheek. And for a while, it was true. They had a daughter together, Lily, a bright-eyed, curious little girl who became Emma's whole world. When Emma's own mother fell sick, she had brought her into their home, too, insisting that family meant never leaving anyone behind. But with every year that passed, Daniel's family grew colder. Emma had learned to live with the criticism, the looks, the whispers behind her back. Still, she held on, for her daughter, for the promise of a family. As Emma climbed the steps, she noticed something strange. The doormat was gone. The flower pots she had placed on the porch had been knocked over, their soil frozen solid. Her chest tightened. "Daniel?" she whispered, her voice trembling as she pushed at the front door. It was locked. No answer. She knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. That's when she heard it, faint, muffled cries. Her breath hitched. She froze, tilting her head, straining her ears. It was coming from the side of the house. A child's sob, weak, cold. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she rushed around the corner. And there, beneath the dim glow of a broken lamp, she saw them. Her mother, her daughter, both huddled against the wall, their faces pale, their hands trembling, locked out of the house like strangers. Emma's knees almost gave way. "Mom, Lily?" she gasped, running to them. She dropped to the ground, pulling Lily into her arms. The little girl's lips were purple from the cold. "Mommy?" Lily whispered, her small body shivering violently. Emma wrapped her coat around her daughter, tears burning her eyes. "It's okay, baby, I'm here now. I'm here." Her mother tried to speak, but her voice cracked. They wouldn't let us in, Emma. We've been out here for hours." Emma's entire world tilted. Rage, disbelief, and heartbreak collided inside her chest. She looked up at the glowing windows of the house she had built her dreams in, and felt her soul fracture. She could see shadows moving behind the curtains. Voices inside, laughter, warmth, and outside her daughter and mother freezing. Her hands shook as she stood, banging on the door with her fist. "Open this door!" she shouted. "Daniel! Open it now!" The voices inside hushed. Someone pulled the curtain back just enough for her to see a pair of eyes staring down at her, cold, unfeeling, merciless. Then the curtain dropped again. Her blood ran cold. She felt Lily's tiny fingers clutching at her sleeve, her daughter's voice trembling. "Mommy, why don't they love us?" The question sliced deeper than any knife. Emma sank to her knees again, clutching Lily and her mother to her chest. In that moment, she realized this was more than cruelty. This was war. Emma had always tried to avoid fights. She had endured the cruel words, the endless taunts, the loneliness of being the outsider. She had told herself she could survive it, that things would change one day. But this was different. This was no longer about her. This was about Lily, about her mother, about love and dignity stripped away at the doorstep of her own home. And suddenly Emma knew if she walked away quietly tonight, they would never stop. She had to fight. Emma stood, her eyes burning with fury. She pulled her phone from her pocket, her thumb hovering over the screen. She could call the police. She could call a friend. She could call the media if she had to. But one thing was certain, she was not leaving without justice. Behind her, her daughter's soft sobs echoed into the frozen night. Inside, the family whispered behind closed doors. And Emma, standing between two worlds, felt the storm rising inside her chest. Because tonight she had come home unannounced, and what she found would change everything. The icy night clung to Emma's skin as she stood outside the locked door, her fists trembling from anger and cold. Her daughter clung to her coat. Her mother leaned weakly against the wall, and the laughter inside the house cut like a knife. Emma's knuckles were red from pounding on the door. "Daniel, open the damn door!" she screamed, her voice cracking. For a moment, silence. Then finally the lock clicked. The door creaked open just an inch, just enough for Daniel's mother to step out. She looked down at Emma with disdain, her lips curled in a smirk. "You shouldn't have come back," she said coldly. "This house isn't yours anymore." Emma's jaw dropped. "What are you talking about? My child, my mother, they're freezing out here. How could you?" But the woman raised a hand, cutting her off. "You never belonged here, Emma. From the very beginning, you were nothing but trouble. You poisoned Daniel against his family. You brought your sick mother here like a burden. And you think you can control everything. Not anymore." Emma's blood boiled. "Burden, that's my mother. That's your granddaughter out here shivering in the cold. Have you lost your humanity?" The older woman didn't flinch. "She has a father. She doesn't need you." Emma staggered back as though slapped. Her throat closed up. "What? What did you just say?" The door opened wider. And there he was, Daniel. The man she had once believed was her shield, her partner, her love. His eyes were tired, hollow, filled with a strange emptiness. He didn't rush to his daughter. He didn't move toward his wife. He just stood there. "Daniel," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. Why are you letting them do this?" "Our daughter, your daughter, is out here freezing." He looked at her, his jaw tight. "Emma, you should have called. You can't just show up like this." Emma blinked, her chest tightening. "Show up like this?" "Daniel, this is my home! My family lives here!" "What are you talking about?" He looked away, shame flickering across his face. "You left, Emma. You chose work over us. You're never here, my family. They've been the ones supporting Lily. They've been the ones holding this house together." Emma's voice cracked. "Supporting? Is this your idea of support? Locking a child and an old woman outside in the cold? Daniel, open your eyes! They're killing us slowly, and you're letting them." Lily, shivering, clutched at Emma's hand. Her small voice pierced through the tension. "Daddy, why didn't you let us inside?" Daniel froze. His face twitched as though the words cut him, but he still didn't move. His mother stepped in front of him, shielding him with her presence. "Lily is fine," the older woman said harshly. "She'll learn to be strong. She doesn't need your weakness, Emma." Emma's heart shattered. She knelt beside her daughter, tears slipping down her face. "Don't you listen to her, baby? You are loved. You are enough. Mommy's here." Emma stood again, her whole body shaking, not from the cold, but from fury. "Daniel, I fought for this family when no one else did. I sacrificed everything, my career, my freedom, my dreams, because I believed in us. And this is how you repay me? By siding with them? By letting them treat your child like she's disposable?" Daniel's lips trembled, but he stayed silent. His silence screamed louder than words. Emma's mother, weak but determined, lifted her voice. "Emma, don't beg them. They've shown their hearts. Take Lily and leave." Emma turned to her, torn between despair and rage. "No, Mom, I'm not leaving. Not like this. Not without a fight." Emma pulled out her phone and hit record. She held it up toward Daniel and his family. "If you won't protect your daughter, then the world will see what kind of father you are. The world will see what kind of family hides. Behind closed doors while a child and a sick woman freeze outside." Daniel's mother's face twisted with fury. "You wouldn't dare." Emma's voice was like steel. "Watch me." The camera caught everything. The shivering child, the frail grandmother, the warm glow behind the door that had been denied to them. Emma's voice broke as she spoke into the phone. This is what cruelty looks like. This is what happens when power and pride matter more than love. Neighbors had begun to peek through their curtains. A few stepped onto their porches, whispering, watching. Shame spread across Daniel's face as he realized the eyes of the community were now on him. Finally, Daniel stepped forward. His voice cracked, low and broken. "Stop this, Emma, please, don't do this!" Emma lowered the phone, her eyes blazing. "Then open the door. Let them inside. Choose, Daniel. Right now. Your family's pride or your daughter's life." For a long, heavy moment, Daniel just stood there, his hands clenched into fists, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Then, with a trembling hand, he reached for the door and pushed it open. "Come inside," he muttered. Emma lifted her mother and guided Lily in, her heart pounding. She should have felt relief. She should have felt safe. But the truth was clear. This was only the beginning of the storm. The warmth of the house wrapped around them, but it felt poisoned. Every wall, every piece of furniture seemed to stare back at Emma with judgment. Daniel's mother hissed under her breath. "You think you've won tonight? This is far from over." Emma ignored her, pulling Lily close. She whispered in her daughter's ear, "I've got you, baby. I won't let anyone hurt you again." Daniel stood in the corner, his shoulders slumped, avoiding Emma's eyes. Guilt flickered in him, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. That night, Emma lay awake beside Lily, her mind racing. Her heart was broken, but her spirit was sharper than ever. She had seen the truth with her own eyes, her husband's silence, his family's cruelty, and the fragility of the life she had fought so hard to build. But one thing burned in her chest stronger than pain. She would not be silenced. Because Emma knew the fight wasn't just for her anymore. It was for her daughter's future, for her mother's dignity, for justice. And she was ready. The night felt endless. Inside the house, Emma sat on the floor with Lily asleep in her lap, her mother leaning against her shoulder. The warmth of the heater brushed against their skin. But inside Emma's chest, there was nothing but fire. The house was silent except for the occasional whisper of Daniel's family behind closed doors. They were plotting, she knew, waiting for a moment to break her spirit. But Emma had reached her breaking point long ago. She stared at Daniel, who sat across the room, avoiding her eyes. His shoulders were hunched, his hands clasped together as if holding a secret he couldn't bear to say. Finally, Emma spoke, her voice steady but sharp. "Daniel, look at me." He raised his eyes slowly, guilt written all over his face. "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling but strong. "Why did you let them put your daughter outside like trash? Why did you let them treat my mother like she doesn't matter? What happened to the man who promised me I'd never be alone?" Daniel swallowed hard, his lips parting. But before he could answer, his mother stormed into the room. "Enough!" she snapped. "You don't belong here, Emma. We've tolerated you for too long. You're poison. You filled Daniel's head with lies, and now you're trying to turn Lily against us, too." Emma rose to her feet, standing tall. "Turn her against you? She's 6 years old. She just wanted to come inside her own house." "What kind of family shuts a child out in the cold?" the older woman sneered. "A family that's protecting itself. You're the problem, not us. If you loved Daniel, you'd leave." Emma's eyes burned with fury. "If I leave, it won't be because of love. It will be because you people don't know what love even is." Daniel's father stepped in now, his deep voice rumbling. "This house is ours. You married into this family, Emma, but you never respected us. You never knew your place. Tonight you crossed the line." Emma laughed bitterly, shaking her head. "My place? My place is beside my daughter. My place is beside my mother. My place is anywhere love and respect exist, and clearly, that's not in this house." Daniel stood suddenly, his voice trembling. "Stop! All of you, stop!" The room fell silent. His eyes flicked between his mother, his father, and Emma. He looked torn, broken. "I can't do this anymore," he whispered. Emma's heart pounded. "Then choose, Daniel. Right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Who are you standing with? The people who locked your child outside? Or the family you promised to protect?" Daniel's face twisted with pain. He rubbed his hands over his eyes. "Emma, you don't understand." Emma cut him off. "No, I understand perfectly. You're afraid. Afraid to stand up to them. Afraid to admit they're wrong. But guess what? I'm not afraid anymore. Because I'd rather walk away with my daughter and my mother then stay in a house where love doesn't exist. Lily stirred awake, her small voice filling the room. Daddy, please come with us. The words shattered the silence like glass. Daniel's breath caught. He looked at his daughter, her innocent eyes filled with tears. His lips quivered, and for the first time that night, he broke. I'm sorry, he whispered, tears sliding down his face. I'm so sorry. His mother stepped forward, her voice sharp. Daniel, don't you dare! But Daniel raised his hand, his voice shaking but firm. Enough, Mom, enough! I can't watch my wife and daughter suffer anymore. I can't pretend this is love. This ends tonight. Chaos erupted. His father shouted. His mother screamed. But Daniel pushed through, walking toward Emma and Lily. He fell to his knees in front of them. I failed you, Emma. I let them control me. I let them make me weak. But I swear no more. I'll protect you. I'll protect Lily. I'll protect Mom. He glanced at Emma's frail mother. If you'll give me one last chance. Emma's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, she saw the man. She once loved the man who had promised her she'd never be alone. But scars don't fade overnight. Emma's voice was quiet but strong. Daniel, words aren't enough anymore. If you want this family, prove it. Stand against them. Stand for us. Daniel turned to his parents. His voice, once timid, now rose with strength. This is my family. Emma, Lily, her mother, they're my responsibility. If you can't accept them, then I can't accept you. His mother gasped, clutching her chest as if stabbed. How dare you? After everything we've given you. Daniel cut her off. What you gave me was fear. What Emma gave me was love, and I won't lose that again. The house shook with shouting, but Emma felt a strange calm settle over her. For the first time in years, Daniel was standing, not as his parents' son, but as her husband, as Lily's father. It wasn't clean. It wasn't easy. The night ended with slammed doors, harsh words, and a family ripped apart. But as Emma held Lily in her arms and supported her mother, she knew something important had shifted. She had found her voice. Daniel had found his courage. And though the road ahead would be messy, one truth burned clear. Love wins when silence ends. Weeks later, Emma moved into a small apartment with Daniel, Lily, and her mother. It wasn't the big house she had once dreamed of. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. Every night they ate dinner together at a small wooden table. They laughed again. Lily smiled again. And for Emma, that was enough. Because she had learned a lesson the hard way, a house is just bricks and walls. A home is built on love, respect, and courage. If you're watching this story right now, remember this. No one deserves to be locked out of love. No child deserves to feel unwanted. No partner should suffer in silence. If you or someone you know is trapped in a toxic family dynamic, speak up. Reach out. Stand strong. Because silence only feeds cruelty, but your voice can save a life. I don't let anyone freeze outside, literally or emotionally. Open the door. Stand for love. Stand for respect. Stand for family.